Hey everybody, this is Matt, and today I'm at Maximum Guitar Works. I am a guest of my very good friend Steve, and Steve is going to do something I've been kind of teasing you. I've been saying Steve doesn't want to do this, and frankly I don't think you do or don't want to do it. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Right?
Yeah, it's an operation.
So I have in my hot little hands here the 2x4 guitar, and we're going to have it plecked on Steve's Plek machine. And I thought maybe it would be a good idea to come out here with the camera, have Steve talk to us a little bit about Plek machine, and tell you guys about something very cool which that we're doing with Steve at Maximum Guitar Works. Steve, what is it that we're doing with you promotionally?
Well, the idea is on your channel, on your information, below the video, that I've given Matt a discount code for our standard Plek service, and and that way that'll allow your subscribers to get a 10% discount on the standard $250 Plek job.
Okay.
And it'll help out your channel too.
So if you guys want $25 off your Plek service at Maximum Guitar Works, I'm going to roll in the code right now. Okay, Steve, what does a Plek, what does the Plek do? What's the elevator pitch for that?
Well, the simple thing is most people know that it does the frets,
okay,
right? But that's only the beginning of the iceberg that most people don't fully understand. And so it does almost everything associated with the neck. It has the capability to do the fret slots, to do inlay, to do the nut, and we're talking about precision of the nut slots to get the lowest possible, almost like 3/1000ths away from a 0 fret.
Wow, okay.
On the nut. And the whole goal of the Plek is to use all of these things, including the fret process itself too, to create an optimized playability.
One thing that I used to think about plecking was it would change the way the guitar sound. It really doesn't change the way the guitar sounds as much as it, forgive the pun, maximizes the fretwork and the neck and the nut and all that.
Yeah, maximizes is a better word than optimize.
Okay.
Yeah, but you would be amazed though, maybe you wouldn't, of how many people come to pick up their instrument after they were Plek. They sit down in my demo room and they play it and they say, man, this sounds so much better. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think there's maybe something to it, but at the same time it could be a placebo effect, because it just feels right,
But what is not a placebo though is that all the frets are level, we're
right
under string tension,
right,
and the nut is cut perfectly, and then you guys go back and do polishing and everything?
Oh, it's a lot of polishing. It's okay. A lot of handwork on the final polishing and buffing, and they're just brilliantly shiny and smooth all around, no jagged edges. And one of the things though I think that they hear when they say it sounds better is the fact that when you have the action set correctly and the nut slots cut correctly, there is better intonation on the instrument, right?
Okay.
Because there's less deflection to cause notes to kind of drift on
you. It won't go sharp as you. Okay. All right. What sort of tolerances can the Plek machine hold? Because that's kind of what this machine does, right?
Yeah, it's rated at a number that I can't even comprehend. It's like a $1,000,000, right?
Yeah.
It's 1/1000th of a millimeter is the resolution that it operates. And I've heard stories from Joe Glazer, who kind of gave us the training. He's the Nashville guy, one of the first Plek owners. So Joe was telling us a story how people were questioning that resolution, and they actually ran the scanning system on this, and it was showing to that there was like a piece of, I don't know, something on the fretboard, and it was
crud or something.
It was discovering that. So so it's pretty intense that it realistically does have that resolution.
Now, if you send your guitar into Steve, some people might go, well, I don't want a $1,000,000th of a millimeter. What's your standard? Like what sort of tolerances do you hold?
Okay. So
sub question: when you buy a guitar from a big company and they say all of our guitars are plecked, you know how long it takes to do that. What do you suppose the margin of error at those big companies could be, given that they do all of them?
Yeah. I would say that we can dial it in, but it takes time, right? We can dial it in to whatever the customer wants. The hardest thing is that most people don't know what they want. Okay, because the most common thing that we hear would be, oh, I want the action as low as possible without buzzing.
Sure. That's
okay, and that just depends on their playing style and things like that. So we have to interpret that information, sometimes ask questions to understand what their playing style is, to know what that means.
Okay.
So I would say the average production guitar from the big manufacturers, the low E action is probably 5 to 5.5 64s, something like that. All of our guitars that we build here and set up and sell, we set them up by default at 4 64s. Okay, but for other customers, we've been even able to take it down to like 3.5 64s. It's pretty significant of a difference. Like a third lower action than, on average from a standard production.
It's safe to assume that if you're doing 1,000 of these a day, you probably can't hold the same tightness.
You can't spend the time, but the other problem that happens sometimes when you have such a large company is that you will have the Plek done before the final setup and inspection. And what was told to me again by Joe and the experience he has in working and training these companies on their new Plek machines is that what happens is it's Pleked perfectly, and it's to their standards of what the playability and the action is going to be, but then it goes to the guy at the end of the line who's signing off on the final inspection, and he's starting to tweak truss rods and things like that. So it's more of a thing where some of these guys are highly experienced that do that and think that they know better than what the machine produced, and they actually mess it up rather than keeping what it is.
So this is a custom operation that we're about to do to this. This is not a factory effort. This is all custom.
Every one is different because we scan it, we analyze it, and it's all compromised because it's scanning every single string path at every single fret. And we have to sometimes say, okay, we'll take a little bit more here and we'll give up a little bit more there, but we'll make the playability better.
This guitar is, of course, because it's made out of a 2x4, we tuned it down a half a step. Is that going to matter?
No, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
What does matter, though, is we know that.
Okay.
When we're going to Plek it, we need to know not only the action, we need to know what the tuning is, we need to know what strings they have. We also request... And you'll put a link on your website to place the order, and then there'll be a discount code placed for the discount code that you provide, right? And there's a form that has to be filled out. And one thing, all of this information goes to how we do the final Plek service on this, and then we also ask for an extra set of strings of the make, model, gauge. Because everything is tested and scanned under string tension, and unless we have the exact parameters of what you're going to be doing, we can't fully optimize it.
You can't just go, here, Plek it, and that's not enough information.
No.
Okay. All right. So the other thing I want to talk to you about, Steve, before we get into the Plekking process is this guitar was built using, of course, 2x4s from an old bench that I had, but we also used the Maximum Guitarworks, what is it, the 6-gun template?
I forget what we called it.
I can't remember but we used your template set with off-body alignment pins. We got the neck, we got the body, we got all the contours, and we made it a little thicker than than what you're used to seeing, but not much. That's got to be kind of neat to see. Hey, someone made this with my template set.
Yeah, no, it really is awesome, and this one is a very unique template set. The SG we call Solid Gold.
Solid Gold, that's right.
It finally came to me.
Okay, good.
But the Solid Gold set includes an extra template for doing this consistent beveled edge, right?
Yeah.
And it's very unique, and you've shown videos on it, of a special bit that we had to create just for this. And I still get questions all the time is, hey, can I just buy the bit?
I get emails all the time too, hey, where do I get that bit? You got to talk to Steve.
And the answer all the time is the bit comes as a standard part of the template kit.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just that we never wanted to get into the bit making business. We designed that as a solution to this template set specifically. So anyway, so that's the answer to that. But that is a really cool set, the way that it came out. And you're the one that actually figured out that you could take it to 24 frets. You know, and it just fits perfect rather than having that little spacer pick guard in there.
Yeah, I think two more frets is just as good as having a little extra space.
So now we offer it with a fretboard template of either 22 or 24.
Neat. Okay,
so
cool.
they can specify which one that they want for doing that.
All right, I got one more question for you, Steve.
Sure.
I want you to don't hold back. What do you think about making a guitar out of 2x4s?
Well, it's a guitar, right?
Yeah.
It's a guitar, and you know, I mean, you were thinking about making this a production model for you, right?
Yeah, that's right. No, this is the one and only 2x4 guitar I'm ever going to make.
Is it sold yet?
No, and I will not sell. This is going on the heap with the plywood Les Paul, where the plies are oriented differently than they normally are.
Yeah.
And this one, I'm running out of stuff to build guitars out of from Home Depot.
So obviously, a guitar can be made out of a lot of different things. I mean, we've seen the videos, somebody making it out of colored pencils and, you know, all sorts of paper mache or something like that. I mean, you can make it out of anything. But, I mean, really, if you're going to build a guitar for yourself and you're going to invest a lot of time and effort to build this guitar, I mean, wouldn't you want something a little bit cooler, like maybe some flame maple neck and maybe some...
For not very much more money in terms on the front end, you get a lot cooler guitar on the back.
Yeah, your investment of time is the most valuable thing, you know, of building a guitar like this. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm with you on that. It's like, it's cool to see, but it's not on my list to add to my production schedule.
Yeah. So, but imagine, guys, if you got Steve's template sets, if you can make a guitar that looks like this out of a 2x4, imagine what you could do with something good. And imagine when you guys see how neat this guitar is when it comes out of Steve's Plek machine. Well, I mean, you're gonna just watch it get plecked. Imagine what you could do when you send Steve a good guitar to have it plecked. Now that this is a bad guitar, it's a guitar. It's going to operate just like a guitar, but it's made out of 2x4. So yeah, frankly, I'm amazed it hasn't started moving already. Who knows? Maybe it has.
Well, we'll see. We'll check it out as we start setting it up to run.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and do it, Steve.
All right. Definitely have some low fret. Sorry.
So Steve, I'm looking at this rig here and I'm noticing that since it's not under string tension anymore, how does the machine know how does it account for it not being under string tension right now?
Well, it's like what I've said before, this machine is a data collector, right? It collects data. That's the valuable thing. And it knows what to do with that data. So once it has it scanned under string tension, and then we decide what we want to do to the frets to optimize the playability, we take the string tension off in order to cut the frets, right, without the strings being in the way. It then rescans it and then interpolates all that data so it knows what it needs to do off string tension to have the desired effect under string tension.
So this is the same idea as that StewMac string tension thing, but it goes about it in a different way with a CNC machine, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just make sure that this is tight, these really thin metal bands won't get in the way, and they're flush, and that's going to keep them from getting cut, but then the back brace, everything. So this thing is not going anywhere. Right. It's perfectly stable, and it can do all the machining with no variation and flexing.
Cool.
So, all right, that's done. If we had any toggle switches up in this area, we would get them out of the way, just in case, so the cutter has room without the potential of hitting that.
All right.
All right. And it's still scanning each and every string path.
Well, Steve, what do you think? I mean, we basically brought you kind of a pile, and you work some Plek magic on it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously you played it. You can probably speak to that.
It plays, yeah.
Yeah, it plays. I mean, the frets are just like I would do on any job.
Okay.
I mean, their playability is optimized. They're highly polished. They probably feel pretty good because that's what they are.
How good were you able to get this 2x4 guitar?
We were able to get it to what we needed it. The only thing we didn't take the time to do is to try to lower the bridge to get the action a little bit lower, right?
Yeah.
That's still a manual process. It gives us the data to do that, but it's still a manual process. So we didn't take the time to do that. We could lower the action, but this might be a good slide guitar for you.
It's way too low to be a good slide guitar. I personally think that we would need to make some modifications to the saddle grooves too, but it feels good to me. We'll probably take this over to Ike at Flipside Music and have him play it for a while, and then, like I said, I think we should probably send this to Dylan and just kind of keep on doing the silly stuff with this that we're doing. Well, okay. In a way, I'm a little disappointed this worked as well as it did because it's a 2x4 guitar, and like we talked about before, if you just started with I mean, how much more would it have cost to use mahogany? Yeah, like not very much, you know. And then you'd have something neat. Right now, you have this novelty that's fun at first, but then it's
you know. Here's the difference. The very first electric guitar I ever built was a knotty pine that came off of a desk I built when I was a freshman in high school. Okay. And my daughter, at one point in time when she was like 9 or 10 years old, she had carved her name in it.
Oh, okay.
You remember that? I don't know if I told you that story. But she carved her name, so we made the Telecaster style guitar with her name engraved in the back because we saved that. So if you make it out of leftover materials that mean something to you, then I could see that being justified.
And if it's a body, that's not a big deal. But remember, we made the neck out of a 2x4 too.
Yeah,
so,
I didn't do that.
And there's a bunch of knots and craziness in there. So
but it looks good, and I think it's going to hold pretty stable.
I mean, so it's been a guitar for a couple of weeks, and now it's been plecked. It's got a big chunky neck, and we're tuned down a full step. But I think it's good.
Yeah.
But what do you have to say to people who, say, gosh, should I make a guitar out of 2x4s? Because that's when somebody asked me very candidly in a live stream, should I make a guitar or should I practice making a guitar out of 2x4s? And I said no.
Yeah.
And then I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, well, I don't know what would happen if you did. So,
here's the thing. I tell my students every time I teach a class that right now we're in an advanced class, so they're doing some complex stuff, that you got to buy some poplar and build the first one out of poplar and do the steps as you go. Successfully route the poplar, then move on to your real guitar. Okay? And so at the end, if they do that, the whole process, they will have two guitars. They'll have one made out of poplar that was never intended to be a guitar, but it's still
neat.
Could be cool. Right?
That's the other thing is this was very, very dry lumber because this guitar used to be tool benches in my shop and it sat around for 5 years.
Yeah, regular 2x4s aren't going to have
that. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, can you do it? I guess you can. And can you take it to Steve and have him pleck it? As it turns out, you can.
Yep.
Is it worth it? Well, frankly, if you're going to go through all the rigmarole of building an instrument, putting a finish on it, binding the fretboard, taking it to Steve, having him pleck it, you bought all the templates from Steve to make for an extra couple of bucks, you could have made this out of mahogany and had something really exceptional.
It's an heirloom at that point, right?
At this stage of the game, it's a novelty heirloom, I guess.
Yeah.
Different kind of heirloom. But if you guys want to have your guitar plecked, link in the description below to Steve's website where all of the Plek information is, and you can call Steve or you can send him an email, and if you have any questions, you can type in the discount code that we're going to leave right here, and you can get 10% off. 10% off. So at the time of this filming, Plekking is whatever it is.
$250 job, so 10%, $25 off.
a couple of things. What's the turnaround time generally?
Generally, it's about 2 weeks.
You guys are pretty quick.
Yeah, we try to get them out within a week, but I quote 2 weeks just in
Okay.
case we have a backlog.
And the other thing that we didn't talk about in this video is this machine is about 30 miles from Denver, Colorado, give or take.
Yeah, just southeast of the Denver metro area.
But the next closest one is
Yeah, in Salt Lake or Kansas City.
Okay.
But here's the thing, if you are in the Denver metro area, we're just on the verge of getting Ike at Flipside Music to engage his involvement in this too. So he can be used as a drop-off location.
So you'll be able to take your guitar to Flipside Music and drop it off, and then they'll coordinate with you, and then you'll do like a big batch of them, and then you'll give them, and then
so if you don't want to drive all the way out east, you're on the Denver or west side, then that's coming very soon.
But let's say you're in Maryland or Montenegro, and you want to ship your guitar to Steve because he's the man. You can do that too, right?
You can certainly do that.
Okay. Do you have anyone from Montenegro?
I don't even know where that is.
I really don't know where it is. Okay. Well, Steve, thanks for hanging out with us and doing this Plek job for us. I know I'll get a bill for this one because it's pretty absurd, but it's amusing, and I thought you might like to see what your guitar, your SG looks like when you make it out of a 2x4 and what you can do with a Plek machine. So if you guys have any questions for Steve, they can send you an email on your website, and he'll get back to you right away. And again, discount code in the description below for Steve's Plek services, or if you want to buy this template set or any of the other template sets that you have, right?
It's all online, but if you ever need help, call the toll-free number because there's so many products that we have. Some of them are hard to find.
And sometimes, that's exactly it. They're all there, but sometimes you got to know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Steve. Well, thanks again for hanging out with us, and thanks to you guys for hanging out with us. This is Matt coming to you live. Not live. This is Matt coming to you from Maximum Guitar Works, reminding you that if you're so smart, start your own YouTube channel. That's what I did. Steve, take us home.
All right, and no matter what you do, remember, start with excellence.
I wanna play my guitar